I hit it.
All right. Peace and blessings to my brothers and sisters. Today is a day of celebration on two fronts. We are both Juneteenth and Father's Day all in one day. I want to address how important it is to acknowledge that just because America has decided to make Juneteenth a national holiday, it doesn't mean that all is healed and forgotten. Is it a step in the progressive motion? Yes, but we still have more work to do. Some people ask, well, how much work is it going to take for people of color to accept that they are just as American as their white counterparts? Newsflash, we're not trying to accept that we are just Americans. We're trying to have people accept us for who we are as people of color. It's a good question, but the answer isn't simple. One, I'm a firm believer that the work will never be done until the last of the generation of the era of pro-racist officials have passed. And even though they more than likely pass down their hate, it does not mean that they will just be able to refill the seats of their predecessors. Though they have designed the system to ensure that those seats are systematically safeguarded, I believe that even those systems are on the downslope. We must be reminded that white guilt is a real thing. And this means that people of non-color are beginning to recognize that the outdated system that once deprived people of color entirely of any rights is slowly crumbling. More opportunities are becoming available, and more people of color are being offered positions of significance. Yet we are still taking steps back each time that we see a young man or woman being shot down in the streets by police officers, white police officers at that. This power that comes with that, knowing that we will be able to continuously fill these ranks of these official seats, will hopefully subside the comfortability that these individuals are having when they commit these crimes. With more people of color that will be able to be our voice and be able to speak out against what is happening. When these men and women of color begin to fill these positions, it is our job as a community to keep them accountable for what it is that we need within the community. We must hold them accountable to prevent their white peers from influencing them ideals that perpetuate the racist agendas that have been marginalizing our people for centuries. They are crafty in their professions to disguise what may look like a progressive motive, but in turn, the fine print says something different. We must remain vigilant and perceptive. Our people are still being killed in the streets with no ramifications. Officers are continuously being reprieved of any wrongdoing, and our brothers and sisters are still receiving the broad end of this corrupt justice system. Equality is our fight, but our fight is beyond all avenues. Not just the justice system. Our communities are in need of more leaders that are willing to stand up against these conglomerates that continuously perpetuate the idea that we are less than or that we deserve less than. We are continuously fighting to improve our health and living standards. Funds that are being rerouted and redirected into certain programs are only being rerouted and directed into these programs because people feel the need to pacify people of color. We are not looking to be pacified. We are looking to be able to have and stake claim to what is ours. And in order to do so, we must speak out against what they are offering us and let them know that we no longer accept the crumbs of their table, that we want a seat at the table. And so I encourage my brothers and sisters out into the communities, get more involved in any way that you can. Hold these officials that are currently in office accountable for the things that they say. We can no longer let them pull the wool over our eyes and allow us to be deceived by the lies that they perpetuate throughout these Senate speeches, throughout their town hall meetings, and all these different areas where they use these totems to be able to say whatever it is that they want to say and have no one hold them accountable for the things that they say. It is becoming very frustrating to know that more brothers and sisters that are coming into these penitentiary systems are coming into these systems with 30, 40, 50, 60, 70-year sentences and no way of reprieve from having to serve these times. Just the other day, I met a young brother that was 18 years old that was sentenced to 67 years in prison. I asked that young brother, I said, what was going through your mind at the time of sentencing? And he said his mind was blank. He was unsure of how he was going to do 67 years in prison. His available time to be released wasn't going to be until he was 85 years old. And yet there was nothing in place for this young man to be able to have any sense of hope. What does that do to the morale of an individual that comes into a system when there is no hope? Then they want to turn around and then perpetuate that people are monsters or that people are irredeemable. Well, you don't give them an opportunity to be irredeemable. You don't give them an opportunity to prove that they are not monsters, because there is nothing set in place for these individuals to be able to have an opportunity to go back into society and prove their worth. 18 years old. Hasn't even had the opportunity to endure a life as an adult yet, because he was sentenced to 67 years in prison. This is not the only story. There are many stories that are like it, and many more stories I unfortunately believe are to come. Our system is beyond broken, but it's broken in the sense that it was designed to do exactly what it's doing, and there are nobody that is speaking out or against what is happening. The very small crowds or the ruckus that is trying to make a change are not getting enough headway or enough steam to be able to make a difference. Facilities are taking matters into their own hands. They are perpetuating these racist ideologies throughout facilities with their administration, with the way that they treat people of color inside of these penitentiary systems or these community correction systems. People of color are continuously under the scrutiny and the mercy of these white conglomerates and these draconic systems to be able to do what they will at their own will and against the will of people of color. We must continuously expose them for who they are and what they are. They are nothing more than racist, draconic individuals that feel that it is necessary to keep their foot on the necks of people of color outside of prison and inside of prison. Another brother that was released on community custody was brought back for a violation because he was 5 minutes late to see his parole officer. His parole officer deemed him to be missing in action when he was supposed to be at his hearing and violated him for 2 years. Another counterpart that was non-black had the same issue. And then he got a slap on the wrist and was able to be released back to his family. It was told to be there on time. The truth of this matter is they happen simultaneously, as the brother explains to me his story. It is these situations where we are continuously being deprived of our rights of our counterparts and being able to have the opportunity or the same voice that our counterparts are getting. We must continuously fight against these racist ideals because they will not stop unless we continuously eradicate them throughout these systems. So I encourage each and every one of you out there today that if you see something that isn't right, speak out against it. Speak up against it and fight for what you know is right. Whether you are black, white, Asian, Hispanic, we know wrong from wrong, and we know right from wrong. And it is on us to be able to notice that and to speak out against it and stand up for what is right. This is AC coming to you live from the belly of the beast saying, stay active, stay progressive, and stay pushing forward. Change is going to come.